Hugh Freeze had high praise for Jackson Arnold when he previewed the Baylor matchup on Monday.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Hugh Freeze addressed the media, spoke to the media for the first time this season as far as his weekly presser. It's game week. It's here. We're starting to get into the routine, even though it's a little weird because Auburn plays on Friday night, obviously not Saturday, but that's okay. We'll take all of it. Just more football a day early. We'll touch on what Hugh Freeze said about the health of the roster. I mean, two very important Auburn Tigers, kind of in different spots. Hugh Freeze talked about that. We'll touch on that in a second. But to me, the biggest takeaway, Mike G of the War Report asked him about it, kind of a two-part question, but asked specifically about Jackson Arnold's preparedness and what did Hugh Freeze think about it. And without skipping a beat, he said that decision-making was good, that he liked Jackson's decision-making. And if you're an Auburn fan, you got to think, oh, okay, I feel so much better. I mean, you can say what you want about Hugh Freeze. He's going to tell you the truth in a press conference. And because the next thing after he got done praising Jackson was, I wish he would stay in the pocket longer. Sounds like he likes to run out of the pocket. And he kind of added the caveat of his athleticism and he can make plays and all of that. But I thought it was fitting. I thought that was a good thing that Hugh Freeze said, and then he doubled back on it, 30 seconds later when he kind of got done listing all the stuff about Jackson and the mock game where he looked pretty good. And I think that's something that Auburn fans should maybe collectively say, oh, okay, that's great. That's great. If you like Jackson's decision-making, that was one of the biggest questions I had about him. That's one of the biggest questions I have about Auburn going into the season. And I think a lot of Auburn people feel that way. So I think that's absolutely crucial, assuming you're taking Hugh Freeze's word at his Monday presser, which I think he kind of has a solid track record of telling the truth there. Freeze kind of went on after that, talking about, like, look, we've got the receivers that we feel like are athletic enough to get open and to win those battles. It's all about just getting to a certain spot, and we believe we have the guys that could do that. Jackson's just got to get them the football. Man, we've talked about this all summer, and Hugh Freeze is echoing it because it's clear. The talent is there. Do you have the quarterback in place to get them the football? Physically, 100%. It was kind of some of the questions were mental. And if he's making the right decisions consistently over the tail end of fall camp, sign me up. Sign me up. That's everything you can ask for. That's everything you ask for. As far as trusting the plays that are called. And I think that's something that we're going to see a difference from Peyton Thorne to Jackson Arnold. I think Jackson's a better quarterback and has tremendous upside. But I don't know if the play was always trusted last year, and that's something that kind of created a little bit of communication and narrative over the course of last season. He also, while he was on the topic of quarterbacks, he mentioned in the mock game that Deuce Knight was 7 for 7, was very efficient, and I think that's worth noting. But all in all, the biggest takeaway was Hugh Freeze's discussion about Jackson Arnold, once again saying he's making the right decisions. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. During his opening statement, he talked about watching some of the week 0 matchups and kind of reiterated, hey, it really drives home the point of, like, mistakes can cost you. And later in the presser, he talked about turnovers. He was asked about the importance of turnovers from a year ago and how do you fix that, and how he's preaching over and over and over again that holding onto the ball is the most important thing. Using your legs is okay. Punting the ball is okay. You just want every drive to end in you kicking it somehow, whether it's a field goal, whether it's a point after attempt, or if you're punting because you don't want to give up good field position, especially with this defense that we think Auburn is going to have, and it's going to be very, very good. He talked up Baylor, of course, I mean, as you do, and he made a comment. He's like, man, I got to quit watching film because the more I watch them, the better they look. And that kind of, I kind of echo that sentiment. I mean, the more we look at Baylor and their players and what they did a year ago, the more impressive their resume is. And he's watching tape and kind of learning all the intricacies and what Dave Aranda coaches defensively with all these different stunts and simulated pressure. And I mean, we talked about this when, we hired their defensive coordinator away a few years ago, but it's all part of it. It's all part of it. And so we'll see exactly how they prepare and execute on Friday, which is very, very fun to see. Just a quick news and notes before we head into, I think the other most important part of this, but Kent Austin and Derek Nix will be in the box. What they did a year ago. And Freeze talked about the process of, communication between Nix and Kent Austin, as far as making sure we're as prepared as possible for the next drive. And then, of course, they'll funnel that information down to Hugh Freeze. That's what they did a year ago. So we'll see exactly what that looks like. The health of an Auburn playmaker seems to be trending in the right direction. And then another very, very key piece, it does seem to be a little questionable going into Friday. That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. Tomorrow, August 26th, is officially FanDuel Futures Day. It's a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your shot for MVP or eyeing long shot division winners, FanDuel, August 26th, tomorrow. That is your time. That is your time. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now, because FanDuel Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. Today's show brought to you by our friends. Nope. Done with ad reads. Done with ad reads. What I'm using to record is super laggy. It's really throwing me off, guys. I'm so sorry. A key part of what Hugh Freeze talked about, he was asked about health. And Eric Singleton, there it is. I played like forever delayed. Eric Singleton said he's close to 100%. He's close to 100% with that deep bone bruise. It sounds like it was a knee-to-knee situation, and hopefully he's ready to go. He said he's close to 100%, and he said, God willing, unless something happens this week, he should, get a shot at it on Friday. So that's good. And then he brought up Alex McPherson, who sounds like it's been a little iffy from a health standpoint. I'm not going to go into his situation. We all know what the story is. We all know that he missed last year. He played a little bit against Kentucky, I believe it was, but pretty much missed all of last season. And it sounded like he was trending, to be better, and then had a good strong start to fall camp. And now we'll see what happens. And as far as like his availability, it sounds like it's going to come down to a conversation between him and Hugh Freeze on Friday. And then obviously if he's good to go, they're going to have to discuss distance and all that. But that's why you went out and you got Connor Gibbs, the transfer portal kicker. And that's why, you hope Towns Magoo takes that step forward from a freshman to a sophomore, and he'll be good to go. He certainly has the leg and the talent, so we'll see. They knew that this was an option. That's why they went out and got Gibbs. That's why they made Towns a priority in keeping him. And so we'll see exactly what happens with kicking. I didn't love that report. One, obviously for the football aspect of it, but Alex has been battling. And so, just as a human, hoping good things for another human. I hope he's okay. He mentioned the strength of the defense being the depth. And we'll talk more about Auburn's depth chart that it drops with Charlie 5, with Kyle tomorrow. But there's a lot of oars on the defensive side. There's a lot of defensive guys that they're naming starters. And he talked about the importance of the depth and saying, hey, it's not about your quantity of stats. It's about your quality of stats. So I'm excited to see what exactly that looks like. And I think those are all the main notes that are, one more. Was asked about Horatio Fields. And of course he talked him up. He was asked about like why he went to go get him and all that, which I guess is fine. But one of the cool notes that came from that is he was pretty cheerful when he talked about Horatio, but said, hey, he's become the leader in that room. Said he's kind of become the father figure in that room, the guy that all of the young receivers look up to. which makes sense from an age standpoint. He's the oldest guy. But he said they voted for captains yesterday, and Horatio got a lot of votes for captain, which I think is pretty cool. A guy who came in this offseason and hasn't really been the storyline of the receiver room. He's been a part of the story, but not the story because of these young guys. And he knew that when he was coming into it, but he just wanted to be a part of it, compete to be the third or fourth receiver in this room. And it sounds like he's done that. And so I thought that was cool. I thought that was cool that he's kind of been given those props as far as being a leader in maybe one of the best wide receiver rooms in all of college football. So hats off to Horatio Fields there. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. Like I said, tomorrow we're going to talk more about Auburn's depth chart, what it means. Not a whole lot of shockers, but just the volume of it. I think there's something to be had there. So please like the video. Please subscribe. And if you're tuned in on audio, please subscribe and leave a review. It helps the show out a ton. We will see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.